Yeah, so this is a hand I played yesterday. It's day 3 of the 1K double stack event. And I think it was like 3 or 4 hours into the day or so. It falls to me on the button. I have ace-10 of diamonds. I open. The big blind defends. And my read on the guy is that he's pretty good, tight, sort of standard American reg. He defends big blind, flops 9-8-6 rainbow. So pretty bad flop for me to begin with. Like, he has all the straight combos, all the 2 pairs. I don't have so many. My hand is, I think, a pretty clear check back, so I check back. The turn is an offsuit king. Now he checks. And here's where I probably start playing the hand a little differently to other people. I think that a lot of times people will check back here because, you know, you have decent showdown with the ace high and also the gutter. But I think because the king is so good for my range now, like I have king queen that checks back, ace king, and like any traps on the flop, like overpairs that I check back and now want to bet for sure, because now, you know, he has to just check call with all his 9x and hands like that. And I think ace-10 is a really good hand to bluff with because I have firstly a 10, and it's pretty low down in my check back range when you actually think about it. Like, I should have ace queen, ace jack, which are stronger, and then stuff like ace rag, deuce and 3, kicker kind of blocks his check folding range on the turn. Like, I want him to check fold deuces and 3s basically with this bet. So I bet half pot here, which I think is enough to get him to fold the low pairs, and makes a lot of sense with my range as it is. He shouldn't check raise super often, but it just sort of, I think, is the right sizing in this exact spot. I don't want to go too big here, and I think a third it's just too tempting for him to call with a small pair. So I bet half pot he calls, and then the river's an offsuit 3, so complete brick. Now he checks again, and I think with this line that he's taken, check, check, flop, check, call, turn, he's like very capped here. Like, I don't think most players would like almost never check call a strong hand on the turn, like 2 pair plus. It's really difficult to check call a strong hand here because you've already checked it twice. You know, you've got the king is an obvious card to check on the turn when you have a strong hand, but as soon as you check it and they bet, you just, okay, now, you know, I've trapped enough now, we're going to raise this turn. So he checks the river, and I think he has a pretty capped range, and my hand's decent to bluff with for all the same reasons as on the turn. And I now have no showdown value because he's not check calling a worse hand on the turn. So I bet like 60% pot, like I can't remember exactly. It was like 190 into like 300 or so, something in that region. And he takes a bit of time, not too much, and announces 600. Doesn't move any chips forward. He just says 600. Not reading anything into that, just that's how it happened. And at this point, I was already, my instinct was that he didn't have anything. Like, I thought he was bluffing in this spot actually quite a lot because for the same, like I said earlier, he is check calling the turn. I mean, I think his range is very 1 pair heavy here. And when I bet 60% on the turn, he can't really beat any value bets with basically any hand he check calls the turn with. So if he wants to check call the river, he's bluff catching most of the time. And then a lot of his bluff catchers make really good bluffs as well. Like, if he has 6-7, 8-7, 9-7, 9-10. Well, 9-10 I think is too strong, but like 6-10, 8-10, stuff like that. Like, these are all very good bluff hands now. And it's very likely that I'm going to bet this size with the king and then fold. You know, or at least he should be able to piece all of this together. And earlier he had seen me face a river check shove, and I tanked maybe a minute with a straight and called, and I ran into the same hand, which was pretty lucky. I think it was actually maybe a bad call with the straight, but I ran into the bottom of their range. So anyway, he had seen this hand where I faced a river check raise and, you know, kind of almost hero folded. So I think that may have played into it, maybe not, I don't know. But my instinct in this spot was that he was bluffing, but I can't call with ace-10 high because all of his bluffs are basically 1 pair hands. And then I asked him how much was behind, and I could see that it was, you know, something around 300K. So he's raised to 600, he's got 300 behind. And it didn't take me very long. I just asked how much he had behind. I saw that it was something, you know, it was something like 10 big blinds he had behind, which I think is kind of key, because if he has 5 and he was check raising something, he might just be like, yeah, whatever, I don't want to play 5 big blinds. So I just call, you know. So I put him all in pretty quickly at this point, and then his immediate reaction was like, and I'm like, oh no, because now I'm like, okay, she actually has something, you know. And he goes, oh no, I don't think I can fold this, and that was really nice to hear though, because when he says that, it means he's going to think about it, and I really need him to think about it, you know. Like if he's check raised, like if he somehow has nines in this spot, which I think he could have, like I need to fade him just going, yeah, cool, right? And then I need to fade the, yeah, whatever, I just call, yeah. Once I fade those two, I then have to fade him like thinking that I could be bluffing here, but that's pretty hard. Like I mean, I've never bluffed this spot before. I'll probably never bluff this spot again. You know, like I'm giving him like over 5-1 or something on a call. You know, and I don't really rep much either. Like I have to check back 10-7 on the flop, which, you know, I probably don't open 10-7 off or 5-7 off. So I'm repping the very unlikely slow play on the flop or kings. And maybe with king, I mean, I probably just play kings the same way a lot of the time, but you know, they can bet the flop at a high frequency as well. So anyway, it's a pretty silly spot. I was really just hoping to take him off a bluff, but then he tanked for 8 minutes. So that was fun. I was just sitting there, you know, the table's getting a little like, you know, what's going on? He's got nothing behind. Why is he tanking? And I'm sitting there, you know. I was thinking about calling the clock on him because I thought it seemed like he was right on the line of whether to call or fold. So I figured he just needed like a little prod one way or the other. But I didn't want to mess it up and prod him the wrong direction. And also, you know, it's the kind of spot where like he should realize that he has to fold everything, you know, except 10-7. But it's, you know, it's hard to do. So I want to give him a lot of time to do it. So yeah, it took 8 minutes, but he eventually folded. And then people were pretty surprised that he folded firstly, and then I said he could pick a card. And in my head I was like if he picks the ace, it's all good, you know. If he picks the 10, I probably just show the ace as well. And he did pick the 10. And then the ace was quite I think that made it better, you know, a little slow roll showing him the bluff. I mean, I feel bad a bit for him, like for sure. I think he made a good fold. Like if in that spot, I mean, he said he had 9-3 for like river 2 pair, which makes perfect sense, like with the whole hand. Because someone at the table said they saw a 9 when he folded, so he had at least a 9. Maybe he's check raising some sort of 9 as a bluff. He said he had 9-3. I think I maybe believe him. I don't know. It seemed, I don't know, something was off about this 9-3 revelation when he said it, but I don't know. Yeah, if he folds 9-3, I think it's a good fold, honestly. Like, I mean, no one's gonna bluff you there. I mean, if I had 9-3, I would have folded in 2 seconds in his spot. I mean, I wouldn't have check raised to 600, but I would have just gone all in. But